I'd like to clarify at the start that CAG recently announced changes to flight with the master modes that reduce flight speed to 25% of what it was before. I think this will be a great change that will model flight speeds more after real-life Cold War jet planes. My video is going to talk about other areas of flight that are not changed by that, and which I think require improvement. Part 1. Is flying engaging in Star Citizen? My short answer would be no, and I would say that it is not engaging for anyone. I want to make this sweeping statement. Whatever the current flight experience is, it is not flying. It is a representation of flight that is void of flight gameplay. And players have gotten so used to it that they may not imagine it being more realistic and engaging. I hope to change that with this video. First, let's cut up the Star Citizen play experience into sections. Player gets into a ship on a space station, takes off, flies to a moon, enters the atmosphere, continues with atmospheric flight, lands, gets out of the ship, and does an FPS activity. To be formal, pre-flight, takeoff, spaceflight, atmospheric flight, landing, post-flight. The atmospheric flight part is currently defective, which I want to demonstrate with these short videos from Star Citizen. Okay, so in this first demonstration, I'm going to show you how the current flight experience in atmosphere isn't really flying. Because it comes down to several points. It's not engaging. The player can take his hands off the controls during the flight. Gravity is an optional toggle. And aerodynamics and G-forces have virtually no influence on the flight. Okay, so I activated landing gears on and coupled mode is off. Okay, now I'm going to accelerate. Now, so far it looks like a realistic flying experience. You're flying close to the ground, you get a nice sense of speed. Turn the afterburner. Okay. Now I can let go of my mouse and see what happens. See, the ship keeps drifting in the direction of the model center of the ship, or the center of gravity of the ship, just keeps drifting into the direction. And my mouse is not, I'm not holding the mouse at all. And I basically pushed it in a certain direction to just rotate the ship. Okay, as you can see, I can take my hands off the controls and I'm not engaged with flight. Okay, so now the second demonstration is a video of me approaching for landing on Baba. And the video is accelerated 3 times, so it doesn't take too long. What you will see in this video is I'm going to fly the ship to the landing pad, and before landing, I'm just going to stop it in midair, get out of the chair, drink a coffee, get back into the chair, fly closer to the landing ground, look left, look right, do a nice roll, and then land when I feel like it. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so again, the demonstration is that the player is not engaged because he can let go of the controls when he wants. Gravity is a toggle that can be toggled off when the player wants it. And G-forces and aerodynamics have almost no effect on flight. To summarize, the player is not engaged in the activity. It can be stopped at any time. Gravity is an optional toggle. G-forces and aerodynamic limitations have virtually no influence on flight. And players want it to be over faster so they can get to other activities sooner. Now, some players say this is fun for them, or that it is a good enough experience. I think it's not, and I think most players would agree with that statement. It is a chore that players endure to get to the supposed real gameplay. Again, a sweeping statement. Allow me to convince you if you think it is too sweeping. Imagine any other sections are listed and apply the same conditions to them as they are for atmospheric flight. Imagine, for example, the 890J boarding mission. Would it be fun for you if you would not have to engage in the activity? If you could just tab out for a minute and the activity would reward you with getting closer to the goal, combat auto-resolving it for you? Would it be fun if you could pause the activity, with all enemies just freezing in space, not shooting until you decide to continue combat? Would it be fun if the physical conditions of the situation would have virtually no influence on the situations? Like enemy bullets not doing damage, your health auto-regenerating, the ammo on your guns being unlimited, walking through walls, or the spacesuit not being necessary in an environment without air pressure. Can you see the pattern? I think every player would want combat to be exciting, having to duck from enemy fire, limited ammo and magazines, to reward tactics and ammo conservation. What G-forces and aerodynamics are for flight is what walls and gravity are for FPS combat. They are the geometry that boxes in the activity to reproduce a realistic gameplay situation. Why would it then be any different for flight? This is why I make the sweeping statement that flight is currently not flight in Star Citizen. It should be one of the most engaging and physical experiences. So engaging that you would want to do it, not wanting to stop from doing it, because flight is likely 60 to 80% of your gameplay. It cannot afford to be boring. And players asking for flight to be faster is the strongest indicator that something is missing with this activity. So how to make it more physical? I would like to box in the flight experience into specific limits. The most fundamental one should be that during atmospheric flight, no ship in the game should be able to remain stationary. If a ship loses speed, it should start falling out of the sky. The shape of the ship and how fast it flies should determine how quickly that happens. The gliders should be able to glide through atmosphere more easily than an Argo raft. This ensures the pilot is engaged in flight, and gravity and aerodynamics are factors that cannot be dismissed. Atmospheric flight is a situation that should not be totally safe. If the pilot wants to be safe, he should climb out of atmosphere or land. There's an exception to that when VTOL is used, however more on that in the second video. Second limit should be speed and acceleration. Speed appears to have been reduced by the flight model development team at CIG, which I think is a great change, because it boxes in flight speeds to that of fast World War II prop planes and Cold War jets without Mach 1 capabilities. I think that it will be great. However, accelerations are likely still an issue. I'm not sure if CIG has planned so far, so I will assume that accelerations remain as they are. Ships should accelerate much slower. This serves to give players a realistic sense of the mass of the ship and to create both combat and landing and takeoff experiences that feel realistic. To reinforce the points above with visuals, I will show you a small clip from War Thunder, because it will show all of the points above, how they create an organic and realistic flight experience. So this is a replay of a recent match in War Thunder. This guy just came into view, and I'm trying to shoot at him. Now, what you can see here, what I'm doing, I'm going to just go slow motion. I have to pay attention to aerodynamics and what my plane can handle. And I have to work hard to actually get the target aligned to my guns. That's something you don't have to do in Star Citizen, because you always can rotate at anything you want, in atmospheric flight even, and just hold on fire, because the game has this mini auto-aim system. You know, I overshot the target, made a mistake. I'm trying to roll over so I'm not ending up in front of him. Not sure if I did it on purpose or by accident. And because I got a 0, or the A6M previous version, I can almost turn from a still stand in air because it has a really slow stall speed. I'm going down, getting a bit of speed again, and I'm trying to line up the next shot. As you can see, aiming takes time. It takes work to estimate and turn the plane the right way. He's too damaged, he doesn't see the tree, and he smacks the tree and he's gone. Okay, so here's my next target. Also notice the closing speeds here. I'm flying about 200 meters per second over here, which 200 kilometers per second per hour. That's about, how much would that be? It's really slow. It's probably below 100 meters per second, below even 80. So anyway, notice the closing speeds. He's flying slightly above my range, and notice we're closing at each other with only a few meters per second. And I have to be really careful. I have to lower my speed so I don't end up in front of him like on the previous plane. And his tail is cut off, and he's gone. I hope this demonstrated how the combat flight experience in this clip is an organic mix of aerodynamics, G-forces, the plane performance, aiming, weapon use, damage to target. And only very few fractions of the time is shooting. Most of it is flying. The combat flight experience is basically a soup of slow burn, realistic atmospheric flight fun with small chunks of highly fast burn fun of firing guns and the very rewarding feeling when actually hitting something. In contrast, the current flight combat experience in atmosphere is ships stopping anywhere they want, rotating where they want, and holding down fire without really having to aim. This is a gameplay void where the only reward comes from ship explosions and the credits reward, and it shouldn't be like that.